Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the last Parent Learning Hour class of the fall semester. Our topic for today is an exploration of some of the current resources that may be helpful for your family now or in the future. My name is Lisa Kazarek. I am a special education coordinator for the Fairbanks School District, and my co-teacher is Anna Zerfus from Stone Soup Group this morning.
In building this presentation, we tried to start at somewhat of a local level and then work our way out. Unlike previous classes, we thoroughly expect that most, if not all of you, will have some level of whiplash because we will be transitioning between slides and websites frequently. So, to begin with, we have early intervention providers that assist with assessments and therapies for children birth to 3 years old. They are broken by region, and we currently have 18 main providers in the state. So the link on this page will take you to the main state site for these providers where you can look up the one for your region. So they have an interactive map down here, and they also have a PDF provider contacts and community served. So if you're looking for a provider that serves, like, let's say we want one that covers Delta, then we're going to go into this PDF and look, and it actually has a listing of all of the provider contacts for the different areas. So the Alaska Center for Children and Adults would be the one for Delta. And if you wanted the Pribilos Islands, it would be there. If you wanted Bristol Bay, that's here. Chugiak, here. So this one is very easy for you to find and access. These are some of the bigger area providers. These providers can typically do some therapies like OT, PT, and speech, as well as assist in that very important transition process to the special education pre-K in your school district.
So the special education or student support departments are a great resource to get information about programs. The links provided will lead you to many resources that will benefit you as parents. What is on your screen is a site for the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development, where you can find your district, any new updates to special education at the state and federal level, and much more.
So they have all of their different things that are happening, like assessment results, the COVID funding, the Compass, which is the guide to public schools. They have teacher certification, Find My School District, data centers, newsroom, everything that you could possibly need at the state level on their website.
So this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the main districts in Alaska with links to each of their special education departments.
Something to be aware of is that everyone is going to look different. So whether, depending on what their resources are, it will be in different places, depending on what they have, curriculum wise, it'll be look different. So just something to be aware of as you're navigating the different websites. They even are called different ones. They could be called special ed departments or student support departments.
In the school environment, assistive technology is any product, equipment, or system that facilitates learning and assists in giving access to the educational curriculum. In the home or community environment, AT solutions are used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of an individual with disabilities in all aspects of life. Assistive technology solutions range from very low tech to high tech solutions. So here we have some examples of low, medium, and high tech solutions that can be. You can see low tech are things that are easily accessible, things that maybe other students are using in a classroom, but those are things that are making a huge difference in the education of this particular student on an IEP. When we get up to the medium ones, you can see these are not always the usual things that a student will have, like a highlighter, but these are more assistive devices that are specific to a student, and you will probably only see with a student with certain disabilities. And of course, we have our high-tech technologies, which are very tailored to very extreme specific needs that are helping the student in the educational environment. In Alaska, we have several ways of getting assistive technology to individuals with disabilities. Most school districts have some level of assistive technology that can be used in the classroom, and ATLA has many programs and ideas on how to get assistive technology into the home.
We did put ATLA, the Assistive Technology of Alaska, down here at the bottom so that you can take a look at their programs and their available AT as well, because you can get that for the home and community through them. So Alaska, surprisingly, has one of the largest numbers of nonprofits per capita in the country. Many of those are social service agencies and ones that particularly work with children and adults with special needs and disabilities. So these are some of the main hub agencies for disability, including direct support, lending closets, and transportation. So we wanted to take you through some of them. Stone Soup Group obviously is close to my heart because that's who I work for. They have a huge calendar. They have connections to other families. We have parent navigation. We have getting resources for you. We have specialty clinics around the state. We have our community calendar where you can learn about all the different classes and events that we have. We have a parent conference in the spring of every year, and we've just actually put it public. And if you've heard of Wright's Law, we have Pete Wright, who is coming up to be one of our keynote speakers in the spring this year. We also have things like Find a Provider in your community, and resources, forms, tip sheets, templates, publications, you name it. One of the things that we especially like to give to parents and teachers is the Special Education Parent Handbook. It's that 145-page Department of Education handbook condensed to like 12 pages. Easy to read, plain language. We also have other handbooks that the state and us have collaborated on to help families. Fairbanks Resource Agency is one of the agencies here in the Fairbanks area that helps people with disabilities. Special Olympics is statewide, and they have branches in several communities in Alaska. Fairbanks has a very unique adaptive rec program for people with disabilities, and we have our transportation. And then down in Anchorage, you have Hope Community Resources. They do a lot of things that FRA does. They offer classes. They help with respite. They do things that like supported employment and supported living for people with disabilities. So there's lots of services and programs that Hope has. And they also sometimes will connect and collaborate with the ARC of Anchorage, who offers a lot of the same services. And you can actually look at the ARC's national site, and we'll talk a little bit on that in the next slides, but they have classes for people with disabilities so that they can actually have peer involvement. So that is really, really handy. There's Access Alaska, which has offices statewide. They have lending closets. So if people need wheelchairs or canes or some adaptive equipment, you can get that. CISA is a special education support agency for the state of Alaska. Lynx is out in the Mat-Su, and they do a lot of the same things that Stone Soup Group does. And then we have like the Independent Living Center out in Kenai, which handles almost all of the Southeast area, helping with some of those options for people with disabilities. We also have CIRC, and I'm going to let Lisa talk a little bit more about CIRC.
So CIRC is the special education resource center. I had to think about that for a second. Sorry. So CIRC is a wonderful organization. They have a lot of diverse programs, and they work a lot with the Department of Education and Early Development to help make up education for every student all the time. They will come to you with programs. I love CIRC. They come to Fairbanks about once a year and do presentations to some of our summer school students on transition options and how to get jobs out in the environment, interviews, vocational exploration. Very easy to work with, normally not a lot of cost, if any cost, to the districts. So if you are looking for something specific, they are a great organization to reach out to.
So we understand that in our busy schedules, it can be really helpful to be able to watch or listen to a video that can be of assistance. After working with families for a while, these videos have come recommended by them or providers. They cover a wide range of topics, from specific disabilities to cognitive supports to the special education law. So Oregon Behavior Consultation is a YouTube channel put on by Nate Sheets, and he has a wide range of videos in bite-sized chunks for parents and special education teachers to watch. So why do kids and teens have challenging behaviors, coping with unhelpful comments, PTSD and developmental disabilities, how practicing the picture can reduce challenging behaviors, cognitive supports, using the stop and think plan to help with processing. So there's a lot of great videos here that can help kiddos and parents and teachers of individuals with disabilities. On our own YouTube channel, Stone Soup Group, we actually have a lot of different videos, including ones that are translated into Spanish and Yupik. We also have our very own Parent Learning Hour playlist over here. So you can actually go and look at some of our previous Parent Learning Hours that we have recorded and done and posted on our YouTube site. So Spoon Theory is one of Nate Sheets' videos, and we thought this one in particular should be called out because it's one that is very, very relatable to all people about energy levels and how it's expended. Then managing challenging behaviors at home with autism. Also, here in Alaska, we have a very high number of children with rare genetic disorders. And so looking at some of the playlists for rare genetic disorders can be very helpful as well. And then, of course, we have kiddos who get to teen years and they don't quite have those life skills down. This is actually a YouTube site. Sorry, I'm like trying to get ahead of myself. This is a life skills videos. It's a whole list of videos for teens to use to learn everything from how to do the laundry to how to make coffee in very small bite-sized videos. So that is one in particular that we found could be really, really helpful.
So the transition from high school to adulthood can be incredibly confusing and stressful for both students and parents. In Alaska, schools are required to put a transition plan into place in a student's IEP by the time they are age 16. Some teams will start transition planning as early as age 14. Parents should feel comfortable asking for transition planning to start earlier than age 16 if they believe that it is needed in a particular instance. The following slides has some wonderful resources we have in Alaska to help facilitate this process. So transition resources have grown exponentially over the past 3 years, and we now have some great tools to help youth on this journey. The Division of Voc Rehab has pre-employment programs to help students with disabilities ready to hold jobs. They have an exhaustive website, and they are very responsive as far as needs and information when it comes to transition planning and identifying what are good vocational options for different students. Transition Alaska has a section for teachers, students, and parents with resources and more information about the transition process. I definitely would suggest checking them out as you get closer to the years of transition for your student. There is a new curriculum open for Native Alaska students, and it has recently been finished and talks about transition activities for villages in Alaska and the traditional skills that are needed. You can see they have tons of different resources and things that are very oriented to traditional cultures.
This was actually just finished by a former Len Fellow as well.
And of course, something to know about in case your child is one that may be in need of the guardianship process. In Alaska, we have several levels of protection for individuals who experience disabilities. There is more information, and the process can be found on this website. If you have any issues navigating, you can always give them a call, but the majority of what you need is here and can be easily found on the page.
So then we move into some medical insurance. Medicaid waiver programs offer people who meet an institutional level of care the opportunity to receive that care in the home or community instead of in an institution. We currently have 5 waivers in Alaska. So we have the ALI, the APDD, and the CCMC waivers. These 3 waivers are typically for people who are not developmentally disabled just as one thing. There's usually a combination. So ALI is for adults living independently who would otherwise require a level of care that would be provided in a nursing facility. The APDD is for adult persons with developmental disabilities who have been determined to be developmentally disabled through the assessment by the Senior and Disability Services Unit, who have nursing needs that would otherwise be provided in a nursing facility. The CCMC waiver is the children with complex medical condition. These are children and young adults less than 22 years who experience medical fragility of some sort that are often dependent on either frequent life-saving treatments or interventions, or are dependent on medical technology like G-tubes and trachs. They would otherwise require a level of care provided in an acute care hospital or a nursing facility. The ISW and the IDD waiver programs offer a choice between home and community-based services or care in an intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So to access one of these waivers, a person must meet the Medicaid eligibility requirements for income and resource as found in an interview and application process. They also have to meet level of care requirements determined by the Senior and Disabilities IDD unit after being selected for a waiver from the waitlist, which is the disability registry. So in order to complete paperwork and get connected to these waivers for the ALI, the APDD, and the CCMC waivers, you would talk to the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, and there is an office listing that we have also put in here so you know where to go. It is broken by region, so it has all of their information so that you can talk to the one that is closest to you. For the IDD and the ISW waivers, there are 6 providers broken by region, and it is the Developmental Disability Resource Connection, and they are called coordinators. We have also included that current roster so that you know who to call that is closest to you to apply for this. Getting on an IDD or ISW waiver is much more complicated than the other 3 waivers. And so it does take time, and that's something to keep in mind. The ISW waiver has a yearly annual cap of $17,500 in services. The IDD waiver does not have a cap, but it currently has a wait list of over 400 people. So it can take several years to get pulled from that wait list. So getting it done as young as possible is very important. These are the resource connection centers for Alaska to get on the IDD and the ISW waivers. Unfortunately, there can also be many financial ramifications when you have a child with disabilities, especially as they near adulthood and possibly begin their journey to working. There are 2 ways that you can currently save for a person with disabilities without affecting their benefits, like SSI and Medicaid. There's a special needs trust or an ABLE account. And we wanted to give you kind of a picture of what each can do for your kiddo or individual or students. So a special needs trust can cost money to set up. The earnings are taxed, and it has no effect on means tested benefits. It can be spent very broadly, and it is owned by a family member, not the beneficiary. Funds remaining after a person passes away go to the estate and or probate. There are no restrictions on age of onset or type of disability. Now, the ABLE account is relatively inexpensive to set up. It grows tax deferred. Distributions are tax free for approved expenses. It is a means tested benefit up to a limit of 100,000. Funds can be used for anything qualified, any qualified disability. It is set up and owned by the beneficiary. It can provide as frequent or rare disbursements as possible. The one big thing about the ABLE account that's really, I'll answer that question in just a sec. One of the things that's really important about the ABLE account to remember is upon the death of the beneficiary, any remaining funds go to paying back Medicaid, anything that they have paid out to you. So that's really important to keep in mind. There is also an eligibility. Individuals have to have a significant disability by age 26. There is currently a bill in Congress to raise this limit to 46. So we're hopeful that that passes. One of the things that is really cool about the ABLE plan is that it is portable. Almost all states have one. And so you can actually transfer your money from state to state if you have to move. Now, what I mean by means tested is that, so if you, like, say you have 10 years of your kiddo's dividends, okay, and your kiddo has a disability, they are at that age where you want to apply for Social Security and Medicaid, but you don't want those 10 years of dividends to count against them. So if you put them in the ABLE account, it does not count against them up to $100,000. So they can get that SSI and Medicaid without those years worth of savings to count against them. And that has been one of the hardest parts about being an individual with disabilities in our country up until we had these accounts, is because they were constantly being forced to live in poverty. They could never have any more than a specific level. And so even if they were making money through a job or income of some sort, they had to get rid of it, or they had to put it in a special trust that they couldn't access. So it's really, really important to understand how work or other income can affect benefits. We have 2 places in Alaska to contact for assistance and calculators that can show you how much a child or youth can receive in income without affecting Medicaid or Social Security. So we have Disability Benefits 101. They have experts here who can answer your question about benefits, including how to apply, how getting a job can impact those benefits, and what you need to do to stay on benefits. So this is the disabilities, we call it DB 101. They have a lot of phone numbers, resources, different calculators, all kinds of different places that you might need. So all kinds of really, really good information here. This is DB 101. And then the other one is WIPA. This is the Work Incentives Planning and Assistance Program through the UAA CHD, Center for Human Development. And it enables beneficiaries with disabilities to receive accurate information and use that information to make a successful transition to work. They actually have people that you can talk to, and they also have people that can do calculating for you to find out, okay, so I want to work 20 hours a week. This is how much I get paid. What is the income level for me working by myself that I can't have to not go past? How much, do I have to put in my ABLE account or in my trust account so that it doesn't count against me and I don't lose my benefits? So, because I still need that supported employment help, or I still need that supported living help as an adult. So really, really important having these resources.
So we have many resources at the state level that can also be useful for a variety of different disabilities. This is a short listing of state level resources that range from state of Alaska sites for disabilities to population specific, like foster families. Senior and Disability Services administers many of the services in Alaska. Their website is a great reference as you are looking to see what might be available in the state and in your area. The Governor's Council on Special Education and Disabilities has worked exhaustively hard to help shape our system to be person-directed, and they have many resources to assist individuals with disabilities. The Alaska Autism Resource Center, they are available on a regular basis. They have a lot of very focused, targeted autism resources that are available throughout the state. Same thing with the Alaska Down Syndrome Network. Again, very targeted disability specific information, as well as the Alaska Center for FASD is fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. They are very targeted in their things as well. The Alaska Association on Developmental Disabilities is a wonderful resource if you are looking for, again, specific targeted resources. Same as Alaska Youth and Family and the Alaska Center for Resources and Families.
Specifically for the Alaska Center for Resource Families, we have a lot of foster families in our state that do not understand how to access resources. And so there is a specific place that foster families can go and find resources for their kiddos.
So we also wanted to include some resources at the national and global level so you can connect to the wider world of support and services for your particular area of interest. We've included everything from national education resources to specific national disability associations. So OSEP, or the Office of Special Education Programs, has up-to-date information on a variety of subjects and is always a great place to go when you are questioning anything to do with that is special education related. The U.S. Department of Education always, of course, has the most up-to-date information on laws and services that are available to individuals and families. Autism Speaks, again, we have included some that are very targeted, very specific towards specific disabilities as well. Autism Speaks is one that is one of those disability specific websites. Same with the National Down Syndrome Association and the International Dyslexia Association. As Anna's already said, we do have quite a few individuals that have some targeted rare diseases in Alaska. So NORD is a wonderful resource for anyone looking to find out about a specific condition that is out there. The Parent Center Hub is one of my favorites that exists. It is information that is very easy to understand, very parent friendly, and walks you through all of the things and questions that you might have as a parent. Their search bar is wonderful. It is easy to use, and it has fantastic information on it.
If you were to move from Alaska, this is actually where you would also find your parent center or PTI for the new state that you're going to. So this is where, if you were moving to Alaska, you'd find Stone Soup Group. If you were moving to Connecticut, you could find PATH. That is their PTI. So it also is helpful in that way as well. You can find your regional parent center.
And parent centers are always something that we encourage you to look out and reach out. There are other individuals out there that are having the same issues and complications that you are having, probably someone that might have exactly the same issues and problems that you're having. It's also a great place to connect with somebody else and find someone else and celebrate those successes. So someone else that's in your shoes, it's always wonderful to have somebody that knows what you're going through. The Job Accommodation Network, again, this is more vocational and workplace based, so our older students, but they are a wonderful national resource when it comes to vocational training and skills and pinning down what might be needed to achieve certain vocational aspirations that are out there. So they've always got wonderful things available and great things to say.
We wanted to thank you so much for coming today. We have reached the end of our fall semester and the end of our third year of classes, which we are very excited to share with you. And we had a lot of new faces today, which was wonderful. We hope that you have the happiest of holiday seasons and can't wait to see you next year.